and a little bit of a talk. I figured, we've talked on the couch, we've talked in the office. Today we're going for a little walk. Today what we're talking about is one of the questions that I get the most in my comments and my DMs, and that is, can I blank? This question pops up everywhere, and it's always people looking at a recipe or looking at my ebooks of recipes that I have and going, love the recipe. Can I replace the sugar with maple syrup? Can I do this cake not using regular flour? That's what we're talking about today. Can you? We're gonna get into it. And if you're into vegan baking, you want to keep listening. You also want to subscribe to the channel because I'm here every week with new videos on how you can become a better vegan baker. I also have a free guide to successful vegan baking with my top 10 tips. If you're just getting started, I wish somebody had given me that advice. So you can download that for free. I'll put the link in the description below. Now, let's get to that question. Can you replace things in a recipe? Can you? Well, short answer is sure. Yeah, you can. But should you? And it's kind of like when you were in school, when you're like kindergarten and you would go like, hey, can I go to the bathroom? And the teacher would be like, can you? You may. I don't mean to dwell on semantics, but it kind of comes down to that. So you can do whatever you want with a recipe. You can. It's your recipe to do whatever you please with. But there will always be consequences to your actions when you do that, because as I've said here on the channel many times, baking is chemistry. The ingredients that you put in a recipe react in a certain way to get you a specific result. So when somebody comes up with a recipe, whether it's me or somebody else, they figured out the amount and the quantities of the certain ingredients that you need to create a specific result that will hopefully taste good. Now, if you're gonna make changes to that chemistry, you can do that, but there will be consequences to those actions. So can you replace the sugar with maple syrup? Sure, you can, but well, things are gonna happen there, aren't they? Because the sugar is not just there for taste, it's not just there as a sweetener, which is what you're replacing with the maple syrup. They're both sweet ingredients, but one of them is dry and is helping with the structure, and maple syrup has a different texture, has a different consistency, and is gonna interact with the other ingredients in a different way than crystallized sugar will. So it might come out as a little bit stodgy. It might come out as not such a high cake if you're doing this on a cake. There will be consequences to replacing the sugar with maple syrup. And then you have to weigh in your head and in your life with your decisions whether that's a compromise you're willing to make. The same thing goes with replacing the flour. Can I replace the plain flour, the plain AP flour, with whole wheat flour or with gluten-free flour? Yes, you can. However, it will taste different. Those flours all have different tastes. They have protein contents that are different. And so the taste will be compromised. I'm not saying that it's always wrong or that you shouldn't. What I'm trying to say is that I am not some kind of wizard that just has all the answers for you. What I know for sure is that changes will occur. I don't have all the answers, but I can tell you that some things will change. So the next time you're thinking about making a change to a recipe, which by the way, there's nothing wrong in doing that because I do it all the time. I mean, I've made a career out of taking regular recipes and changing them into vegan ones. But every time I do that, it's a process. I really have to think of how taking one thing out and putting another thing in is going to change the whole ordeal. What I'm saying is, next time you're thinking of making a change to a recipe, don't ask yourself, can I do this? Because, girl, you can, okay? You can do it. I am telling you, you can do it. Ask yourself, should I be doing this with the result that I want in mind? When you're changing a recipe, what is your priority here? Do you want a cake that's going to be fluffy? Do you want a cake that's going to be sweet and decadent? Or do you want a healthy cake? There's no right answer here. It comes down to what your priorities are. Because if you know what you want to get out of it, then you can plan accordingly. So if you want a dessert, but you're on a diet or you're on a healthy kick or whatever your reasons are to want something healthier with less sugar, with less gluten, whatever it is that you want, then you need to think, okay, well, I'm going to take the sugar out. I'm going to replace the flour, because my priority right now is not taste. My priority is not texture. My priority is that I want a dessert, and I don't really care that it's not going to taste just like the real deal. I just want to have something. Okay, now if your priority is, like mine is, it needs to taste like the real deal. And the main thing that I have in mind is it needs to taste like the real deal. It needs to feel like the real deal. The texture needs to be identical. Then I know I cannot make such compromises. I cannot take the sugar out. I cannot just replace the flour with whole wheat flour, because that's going to change the whole thing. So you need to keep in mind what you want out of the recipe when you change it. So instead of asking, can I do it? Ask, should I do it based on what I want out of this recipe? I'm telling you, once you start doing that, you're gonna find that it's much easier to make those changes and not be disappointed, because I see a lot of people that try to make changes and then they get discouraged because the result didn't come out with what they had in mind. As I said in the beginning, all of your actions when it comes to baking will have consequences, which is true in life and is true in baking. As you practice and you get better and better at baking, you're gonna find out the new ways that you can work out the chemistry in a certain recipe and in different recipes, so you get the desired results that you want while making the changes that you also want to make. It takes practice. So when you do it the first time, don't get discouraged. Think about it. If it didn't work out the way that you planned, take notes. I talked a lot about this in other videos. I will put the link to some of them in the description below. Make notes of what worked and what didn't work and what you can do better next time, because it takes practice. Everything. It always takes practice. And with that, our little walk here is done. And so is my pep talk. I hope next time that you're, thinking of changing up a recipe, you keep this in mind and it helps you out along the way. If you like this video, make sure you give it a like and subscribe to the channel. If you're new to vegan baking, again, I do have that free guide to successful vegan baking. I'll put the link in the description below. You just put in your email address, it gets delivered straight to your inbox. I will see you guys here tomorrow with a new video, and until then, stay curious.